In this nugget, you will learn how to calculate the percentage yield for a reaction. Let's start by defining the different types of yield. The theoretical yield is worked out using the chemical equation and the number of moles that are being used. The theoretical yield is the amount of product you would expect if 100% of the limiting reactant is converted into product in the reaction. The actual yield is found by doing the experiment. The actual yield is the actual amount of product obtained from the reaction. The percentage yield is the actual amount of product made expressed as a percentage of the theoretical yield of product. The percentage yield can be calculated using the equation percentage yield equals actual yield divided by theoretical yield multiplied by 100. Let's look at some examples of questions where the percentage yield is calculated. A student prepared 1.6 grams of copper-2 sulfate by reacting copper-2 oxide with sulfuric acid. The theoretical yield was calculated to be 2 grams. Calculate the percentage yield for their experiment. So step 1. We start by writing the values with the appropriate units. Actual yield equals 1.6 grams. Theoretical yield equals 2.0 grams. Next, we state the formula that links percentage yield, actual yield, and theoretical yield. And finally, we substitute the values into the formula. This gives 1.6 divided by 2 multiplied by 100, which is 80%. So that is percentage yield from this reaction. The theoretical yield was calculated to be 8 grams. When the reaction was carried out, the actual amount obtained was 6.1 grams. Calculate the percentage yield for their experiment. Give your answers to two significant figures. We start by writing the values in the question with the appropriate units. So actual yield is 6.1 grams. Theoretical yield is 8 grams. Next, we state the formula that links percentage yield, actual yield, and theoretical yield. Finally, we substitute the values into the formula. This gives 6.1 divided by 8 multiplied by 100, which is 76.25%. So that is the percentage yield for this reaction. The question asks for the answer to be given correct to two significant figures. So we need to look at the third significant figure and decide whether to increase the value of the second figure by 1. In this case, we don't, because the value of the third significant figure is 2, which is less than 5. Summary. To calculate the percentage yield for a reaction, both the actual yield and the theoretical yield of a reaction must be known. The equation for calculating the percentage yield for a reaction is percentage yield equals actual yield divided by theoretical yield, multiplied by 100. The theoretical yield can be calculated using the amount of limiting reactant and the chemical equation. Keywords. Actual yield, the amount of product actually obtained from a reaction. Theoretical yield, the yield of product you would expect if 100% of the limiting reactant is converted into product. Percentage yield, the actual amount of product made expressed as a percentage of the theoretical yield of product. Limiting reactant, the reactant that is completely used up in a chemical reaction. It limits the amount of product formed.